I have given 9 years of my life to the Austin Police Department. I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you don't like me. If you like me, I don't really care. But I give a shit about our men and women.
In August, the police chief had a big meeting with his command staff. It was a private conversation that he had with those 18 commanders. So a source actually got in touch with me, someone who was in that room and secretly recorded this conversation. And they wanted to share it with me to really kind of provide a different insight into what is happening behind the walls of the police department.
If your heart isn't in this job, it's time to step out, either step down or step out before you, so you can leave with your integrity and maintain your integrity before we have to take action, because I'm not opposed to taking action against the commander. You guys know that. And we are at a crossroads in American policing. And the problem ain't the cops. The problem is leadership.
We are hearing from the police chief at a crucial time for policing, not only in the country, but here in Austin. And he actually talks about two of the department's most controversial use of force incidents that have happened this year. The most recent is the violent arrest of that Austin school teacher, Breon King, by a police officer, Brian Richter.
Oh my God!
The police chief is livid that that was not brought to his attention sooner. In fact, he learned about it when we started asking questions. So he's saying to his command staff, get with the program.
And I am sickened that somehow people are still trying to justify Richter. Nobody wearing stripes or bars or stars should even think about justifying a woman that the reason that woman got pulled out of that car is because she had the audacity to tell him to hurry up. Had that been a pretty white girl in her Sunday best dress, I don't think that Richter would have responded. Acting the same exact way, I don't think Richter would have responded that way. She wasn't going with the program. Who gives a You know what? Millennials ask questions. Get over it. That was such an easy stop to de-escalate.
The second incident has to do with the shooting of David Joseph, who was a naked, unarmed teenager. And what we hear in this recording is the police chief expressing frustration that there are officers who do not support his decision to fire the police officer in this case, Jeffrey Freeman.
You know, the union got all pissed off because I fired Freeman. Some of you might have gotten pissed off. I'm telling you right now, we have another Freeman tomorrow, guess what's going to happen? I didn't lose a minute of sleep. If you can't handle a 19-year-old kid, broad daylight, naked, and your first instinct to come out with your gun, and your next instinct is to shoot the kid dead, you don't need to be a cop. I don't give a shit how nice you are.
One of the things that I think we are really seeing is what progressive leadership in law enforcement is really up against.
Jeffrey Freeman has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho!
I talked to a number of law enforcement experts nationally who do warn that changing the culture of a department is really an uphill climb, that policing has been a profession that for decades has been steeped in the culture of protecting one another.
The problem is leadership that lacks the intestinal fortitude to make the tough calls. Rather than just call it the way it should be called, they try to mitigate for the officer. They try to act like they're union rep. That is not our job.
Changing the culture is key, not only to providing more scrutiny to use of force incidents when they happen, but also potentially stopping them from happening in the first place. What's interesting is that I asked one expert exactly how you go about doing that, and they said it begins with a closed-door meeting and a very honest conversation, and I think that's what we saw the police chief attempting to do. So I think over the next several months you could see some of that leadership team continue to move toward his vision, but I also think that it is possible that we could see particularly high-ranking officers retiring and maybe moving on to other jobs. I think the biggest takeaway is the police chief himself. You know, we see him moving in the public, speaking in the public in one way, and while his message was consistent, this is more of an unvarnished look at the police chief and a very disappointed and unhappy police chief.
If you're not willing to do the heavy lifting, check out, because you will not survive. Thanks, guys.